Hello, beautiful community. We're going to react to Hunter Biden on Tucker Carlson on God. Now, a few of you want me to say something about Hunter Biden's popularity in the informational environment and whether it's a good thing or a bad thing. And I'm not going to watch this interview. We're just going to watch a bit about God together. And the only other bit I caught is Hunter saying what a great person Candace Owens is, even though she is a sort of paradigmatic example of an unethical entrepreneur in the informational environment, turning politics into destructive and self-serving consumerism. Now, obviously, Joe Biden is in the background here, and if you know me well, you know that I was critical of Joe Biden's inability to leave after his first term. But I was also critical of Joe Biden even running in 2020, because I felt that his cognitive decline, among other factors, made it unethical for him to do so. And he just lucked out because Trump mishandled the public health crisis so badly that it allowed Biden to win, whereas without that, he probably wouldn't have. And then, of course, Joe had this terrible will to power struggle at the end where he got there eventually and left, but in a destructive way that didn't leave the Democrats with any good options. Joe Biden is going through a difficult cancer journey now, and actually outside politics, I find him enormously likable. In a way that I also find my ex-Prime Minister Keir Starmer enormously likable outside politics. But a difference actually is that Keir Starmer left very elegantly when he needed to. He didn't have quite that same will to power struggle that Joe Biden had. Joe Biden's had so much loss in his personal life, and there's a different kind of loss with Hunter, because Hunter is there, Hunter is trying to get his shit together, but at the same time, that's not quite possible for him. So there's a different kind of a sense of loss and love and helplessness for Joe Biden. Well, let's listen to this bit.
Last question is about faith. How has this affected how you feel about God and changed your relationship?
I don't know whether I would say that it's changed, but it is deep in my belief in...
This is a bit painful for Joe Biden, I think. What is Hunter doing, going around saying how great Candace is and, buddying up with Tucker, who he has known for a very long time? And there's nothing wrong with going on Tucker in principle. I respect people who don't. Ian Bremmer recently said he wouldn't be going on Tucker if he got invited. I'm entirely open to people going on Tucker if they challenge the environment they're in, which is a kind of alt-right, semi-post-truth propaganda show. But that's not what Hunter is doing there. But I don't want to get too political. Let's give ourselves a psychological response.
Whether you want to call it, I do, as God, is the absolute certainty of this. There is literally, in both the theological but also metaphysical sense, no distance between me and you or anyone. We are all literally connected. And that connection, that universal connection to everything, is what I refer to as God. Is us realizing that all of our fear is a delusion, is being separated. It's all the idea. And so my faith is in the fact that I know that that there is not a that there's not a sentient being that is not that literally is me. And
there was a pop tradition called the New Atheism in the West a couple of decades ago, led by Christopher Hitchens, young Sam Harris, Richard Dawkins, Dan Dennett. And it was a kind of philosophically superficial excretion of a scientific culture, where people who couldn't conceptualize religious experience were talking about it. So I am completely open to the depth of a Christian spirituality and Christian, very different kinds of Christian religious exploration. I'm very open to very different kinds of Islamic faith and spirituality. Where I begin to struggle is when outside of a religious tradition, people say that everything is connected, and there is a kind of a world mind that encompasses all of us. Because it's very difficult to give an account of that is just not an example of a kind of fantasy wish fulfillment. And just looking at Hunter, it's something that's very important to him. It's probably something that's very necessary to him. But it feels like it's clearly something that is in the realm of self-rescue through spirituality.
I don't know if that makes sense to you, but I truly believe that there has been a real thing in my life that has saved me time and time and time again, and that has taught me hard lessons, and that I believe that I cannot explain by other than what I choose to call God.
No question about that. And we do get glimpses of the connection between people, all people. I think that's what we refer to as a transcendent moment, when we like rise above all the things we're concerned with and sort of look down just for a split second. But this happens to people throughout life, and you're like, oh, wait a second.
Yeah.
You know,
that's not what Hunter is saying at all. Hunter is not talking about going up and looking down and seeing the perspective of everything. Hunter is talking about a kind of dissolution, dissolving, that starts from inside and then goes out and incorporates everything. People certainly have that experience with certain drug experiences they have, and people have that experience with meditation. I've meditated twice a day since 2004, so many thousands of times. This partly depends on whether you sort of construct your meditations ad hoc or whether you meditate within a tradition. But even putting that aside, there is of course a tendency when one's meditation goes well, not when one's meditating well, there's no such thing as meditating well. But when one's meditation goes well, there is absolutely a certain sense of dissolution and a certain sense of everything being connected. But that's not the same as then finishing your meditation and then sitting at the dinner table and then making the claim that metaphysically everything is connected. You've got to be slow before dismissing that sense of connection of everything to everything that you can get in meditation. But it doesn't follow from that you can then sit at the dinner table and without sentimentality and kitsch say that everything is everything.
And when you start to get honest with yourself, like really get honest with yourself, and I'm not talking about everybody has to go through what I went through to be able to get honest with themselves. I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. But, I think that there are spiritual practices that I did not either have the courage or the patience to endure. I say, like, it's not like I was moving to Rishikesh to sit in a cave and meditate for 7 years. Instead, what I got is a trial by fire. And like I said, the complete eradication of an ego, not by courage or conviction on my part, but by necessary choice to survive. I had to choose to either stay in bed or get out and live. And if I was going to live, I had to let go of that.
Yes.
And I did.
Okay, that's enough. So, what do I think? I think it's about what you think, not what I think. But if you want a recommendation, then how I feel watching this is that, number one, I feel compassion for Joe Biden, who loves his son very much. I feel compassion for Hunter. Do I recommend you to trust Hunter? No, I don't. And I think we've seen too much of that in information environment. I don't recommend you to just trust Hunter for sort of Candace Owens type reasons, that he's got bad motives and that he is manipulative. Not at all. I say you can like things he says, but be careful about relying on him, trusting him too much. And I say that not because he's bad, but because inside he's still all over the place, right? That's a totally different thing to say. And it's important to recognize that's going on inside his head, inside his life. Enough. Lots of love. Talk soon.